I'm Ruben Abati.
I'm Oji Akbi.
Dipo Komolafe, our guest, is a partner at Templars law firm and heads the tax advisory team. He's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria and was a two-time chairman of the tax committee of oil producers trade sector of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industries. He spent over 3 decades with Mobil Producing Nigeria, with several responsibilities, including the management of all tax-related functions, tax planning, advisories, reporting, and personnel management. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to the morning show.
Let's go straight to business. Now, Tunde Fowler, the Chief Executive of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, has just announced that the FIRS is going to make sure that persons, companies who are billionaires, who have not taken advantage of the voluntary assets and investment declaration scheme, that they will do substitution, go directly to the banks, freeze their accounts, and then make sure that they pay tax. Do you think that this new method that he's proposing, is it not some kind of abusive coercion, or you think it will help to expand the tax net?
Well, I think it's even much more than that. We're in a democracy, and there are set rules for going about issues like this, especially the issue of tax. Tax is statutory. The tax codes provide specific rules as to how you go about collecting tax. The taxpayer has some rights, and those rights have to be respected. For instance, if you say somebody is owing a tax amount, and the guy says, look, I'm not owing you, even in ordinary parlance, that tells you that you have asserted that somebody is owing, the onus will shift to the person that is asserting that some amount of tax is being owed to make his case. For instance, if you make an assessment, if the FRS raises an assessment on a taxpayer, under our laws, the taxpayer has a right of appeal within 30 days to write a notice of objection to the assessment. FRS also, under our laws, has to do one or two things, either to accept that there is an error in the assessment and make a revision, or they will issue what we call a notice of refusal to amend, which means I've heard your complaint, but I'm still on my feet that you are owing this amount. Then the taxpayer now has an obligation to take it to the next step. And the next step is that the taxpayer will now have to go to the courts to seek an intervention to decide the matter either way. So, in my opinion, the tax authorities can make all the allegations, but their rights enshrined in our laws.
But the major complaint, both by the Federal Inland Revenue Service and even in Lagos, where they have an active tax office, is that Nigerians don't like to pay tax.
And if they like to pay tax?
Well, but in Nigeria, it seems to be a peculiar thing.
It is not whether you like to pay tax, it is what the law says anyway.
Yes.
People probably don't like to work, but they like to earn money. So it's a give and take. I mean, if you want the government to do certain things for you, the law says you must pay your tax so that the government can function.
But if you look at the tax regime in Nigeria, I mean, Nigerians usually object to it. Take the recent example in Lagos State, where people refused because there was an assessment that they thought had gone up by 400%. Why do you think that the people are so, opposed
about the land use charge?
Yes, land use charge.
So what's the question now?
The question is, why is it Nigerians are always so emotional and they don't want to pay tax? There must be some reasons.
I think it is.
In some other parts of the world, I mean, people do tax returns. Yeah. They see it as a civic obligation.
Yeah, when you have a functioning society, I think it's very exciting to pay tax. I'll be happy to pay tax.
It's nice to say that people in other jurisdictions love to pay tax. Maybe we should also add Donald Trump, why he has refused to publish his tax returns. I don't think it's a Nigerian thing. if for over the past 20 years or 30 years or so, you've been getting free money from the revenue coming from, and there have been no incentive for the government to really raise the tax base. And then you get things done. There was a time in this country where we said the problem we had was how to spend money, not how to make it. So if you come from that mindset, I mean, people just believe that the money is there and the government really don't need to come to hassle them to get more revenue.
Okay, let's circle back to current news now.
Okay.
With the story on MTN,
Okay.
what do you think is going on with that story? The fact that the Attorney General has slapped $2 billion on them, and they're claiming that they rightfully have paid their taxes.
Well, let me make one or two clarifications. I don't represent MTN.
Yes.
The only connection I have with MTN is that I have an MTN number. And I'm sure. And I'm sure.
I have an MTN number too, so I really want to know.
So, what I'm going to do, so I'm not taking.
In general terms.
Yes, I'm just talking in general terms. The information we have on this matter is from the comments made by the PRO of MTN. So we don't have the news from the other side. And what the PRO said was that government, the AGF, the Attorney General, did a high-level computation of the outstanding obligations of MTN for the past 10 years and came to a $2 billion liability, outstanding liability. And then it broke it down into three elements. It covers, the $2 billion covers withholding taxes, value-added tax,
yes,
and
foreign imports.
Import duties.
Yes.
Two comments. Import duties is not a form of tax. Taxes, agreed. Royalties, value-added tax and withholding tax are taxes. Second comment, the process for assessing custom duties is completely different from the process of assessing tax, and you know that, and we all know that. The custom duties are assessed at the ports. The importer has little or no say as to how much custom duty is supposed to pay. Agreed. Unlike tax, the kind of tax we operate here in Nigeria is what we call a self-assessment. You on your own, you raise an assessment of what you think your obligation is. So it is difficult to see a situation where somebody will be said to have underpaid custom duties. You know what I'm trying to say. Yes. Even our law says that even though the custom duty guys can actually come to you for an underpayment of custom duties, but there is a time limit. They can only do that. Section 142 of the Customs and Management Act talks about coming back after 1 year. So it's strange to me to be talking of a 10-year obligation, outstanding obligation. What happens to even the materials that have been imported that have been used up in the production process, and the company has gone and declared dividends on even the profits that have been earned from the utilization of those commodities? Then the issue of tax in itself. As I said earlier, there are specific rules in our legislation, in the tax statutes, as to how taxes should be assessed, and there are rights available to the taxpayer to contest any allegation of underpayment of tax. And finally, there are agencies of government that are assigned with these responsibilities. The Federal Inland Revenue Service is assigned with the responsibilities of collecting and administering tax, and all those taxes that are listed in the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act. The Customs Department is in charge of custom duties, management of custom duties. We know that the Attorney General's office has an overall responsibility to assist government in the in legal matters, but there are specific assignments to agencies of government to manage specific things, and one will have expected that the appropriate arms of government that are saddled with those responsibilities are the ones that will have.
Two sanctions on MTN in just about 2 weeks. Yeah. Do you get the impression that maybe MTN is being specially targeted?
No, for one, I don't think anybody wants to target, especially target MTN. I mean, before the advent of MTN in this environment, we knew what we face in terms of telecoms. So I don't think there's a deliberate effort to target MTN. I think what is going on is the government is looking at the easy picks. And it so happens that those ones that are out there that are easy picks are the regulated entities. I mean, those entities that forward tax returns, do things the way it's supposed to. Those people that follow processes.
Okay.
Well, tax reform has been a major challenge in Nigeria. All kinds of panels have been set up to reform tax administration. But still, we still have complaints from various categories of stakeholders about multiple taxation, about poor governance, about lack of database. Why is it so difficult to reform our tax regime?
Yes, because as I said earlier, we have been coming from an experience where the funds had always been there. There have been very little reliance on tax revenue to do all of the things we have been able to do thus far. So there's a resistance to change. But the government should still keep working at it because we cannot, the revenue profile of government from oil, we cannot rely on it in a sustainable manner. Whether we like it or not, there will come a time when the oil revenue will no longer be there. Governments all over the world that have been able to achieve significant milestones do this by way of revenue from tax, not from depletable resources that will eventually go out of extinction.
Right.
If we are going to advise the Nigerian government in terms of taxation, what will you be saying to them from your own experience, the things you have seen in practice?
I will say, rather than go for the low-hanging fruits, those people that are always ready to comply, most likely from even the requirements of their home office. For instance, if you're an American company, you are subject to rules of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which says that you must operate in a very transparent manner, or the MTNs of this world, who are regulated even back at home. We should look at ways of enlarging the tax database to cover those areas that are largely untaxed. The Alaba markets of this world that are making, without necessarily trying to put them in any undesirable silo, the tax net needs to be widened so that we can capture the entire tax base.
Well, thank you very much for coming to the morning show.
This has been quite insightful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right.